What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. We're here breaking down one of my favorite races of the season, the Bristol Night Race. Take place on Saturday night, September 16th, around 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Was supposed to start around 7, but they did move it up because of the threat of inclement weather, which I'll tell you right now, it looks like there's a decent chance of rain up until like 10, 11 p.m. So I'm hoping they get this race in because I would hate a Sunday afternoon race. But just letting you guys be warned that we do unfortunately have rain in the forecast. But either way, should be a good one. The environment's always pretty good, and this is the playoff cutoff race, and we have plenty of storylines to be excited about. And Bristol's just a really good track. There's a reason I have it in the background. It's one of my favorites, so hopefully we all enjoy a good show. And also, if this happens to be your first time here, which I highly doubt considering football season is in full swing, but my name is Pennell. I break down NASCAR and NFL DFS each and every single week on this channel. If you do enjoy today's free content, or even if you don't, consider leaving a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or mean to me in the comments or call me ugly, I don't care either way, but I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget the sponsors of the show, Prize Picks and Underdog. Promo code CPEM will get you a deposit match bonus up to $100 on either site using the link down below or the pinned comment. I highly recommend both sites. Underdog, you can do all kinds of stuff over there. Did a bunch of best ball drafts, and they offer their pick'em contest as well as Prize Picks. And they've been running a ton of promos so far to start the football season. And we're only in week 2. So there's still stuff to take advantage of, so make sure you check it all out. And again, use promo code CPEN if you do sign up, and it'll help us both out. All right, now that I sold out a bit, let's talk some strategy here for Bristol. And it's actually kind of fun to talk about strategy here because it's not your typical intermediate or anything like that. Bristol is a track where you have to remember one thing and one thing only. Not the only, but dominators, dominators, and dominators. There is 500 laps in this race. You take 70% of 500. That's the total amount of dominator points available to us, which I think is right around 350. Might be that on the dot because we're dealing with some even numbers here. But 500, 350 dominator points. So that's going to be your main focus here. So getting drivers that are able to dominate this race is going to be extremely important. I am recording this part right before practice and qualifying. I'll do the rest afterwards. I'm just saying if we have some really nice looking plays that start in the back, keep in mind, while they will have decent floors, these guys up front can rack up a ton of dominator points in a hurry, and they can make up for it without having that place differential. And they're definitely more intriguing than they would be in a normal week, just because those dominator points rack up so quick. So that's something to keep in mind this week. Just dominators, extremely important. Look at drivers that are good at Bristol in general because they tend to be the same guys each and every single time because it's a very unique track. I wouldn't say there's really anything too comparable to Bristol, maybe besides Dover, which I always call it its bigger brother. It's a mile oval that's also steep, but still it's a little bit different. So I don't know if there's a ton of carryover there because I know Martin Truex Jr. is amazing at Dover, but not so much at Bristol. But there is some drivers that also kind of carry over. So hard to say. I think it's unique. So just looking at the drivers that are really good in practice and just overall the fastest drivers of the season, guys with track position, those are going to be your most likely dominators. And then we build from there. And I would say at the very least 2 doms per lineup. But I think a lot of mine will end up having 3. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown, you have to mention one thing first. And of course, that is Patreon offers free trials. So if you want to come and check out all the extra content that I do have to offer, projections, optimizer, ownership projections, cheat sheets, data sheets, articles. I do cover football in a very similar fashion, which I'm assuming a lot of you like football as well, so I do cover multiple sports. Link is down below in the description for that. And if you like it after trying it out for free, you can stay. And if not, that's totally fine with me, but let's dive right into it. And qualifying just ended a few moments ago, so this is my first run through the entire slate. And obviously the more updated stuff will be on the Patreon later this evening. And I was kind of talking about this in the strategy portion of the video a few minutes ago, where if we have a big name in the back, while yes, they're going to project well in tournaments, you never know. It might kind of pay off to fading these kind of guys, at least being underweight, because they're not going to get those dominator points, especially early on. And there's always the chance if this race runs green, they get stuck a lap down. And what do you know? We get Kyle Larson starting dead last because he got loose in qualifying. Now, he is not slow by any means. He has one of the best cars in the field after what we saw in practice, but it's definitely a concern starting in the back. Now, it's not a concern for fantasy points because I'm assuming he's going to be a top 10 contender. But as far as being a dominator, we have guys like Denny Hamlin and Chris Rebel starting on the front row. Let's say those two led just about 200 laps apiece, which I think is certainly possible in this race. They're going to be much better plays in tournaments than Kyle Larson. Now, Kyle Larson is a cash game lock, obviously, great at Bristol, and he opened up as the odds-on favorite fast in practice. I am just saying if you're trying to get different in tournaments and not play what everybody else is playing, there is ways to get different. Avoid Kyle Larson and soak up those dominator points because Bristol offers you a ton of them. So again, Larson, obviously a good play, but in tournaments, there is paths to get different, and there's ways that this does not work out. And if you nail your dominators, you're definitely going to be sitting pretty if you can get lucky with Larson going a lap down or just not getting up front at some point, because it's a hefty price tag to pay for a guy that's probably not going to get up front in this race. Then Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, I think you need a ton of exposure to both of these guys. Obviously, Bell's in the better position to dominate. I think Denny Hamlin overall has the better car. If you're looking at the practice numbers in the long run, Denny was exceptionally well. Didn't start off too hot, but that's kind of the thing with Denny. They always have a long run car. Third in the 15, third in the 20, second in the 25, and then one in the 30. And I actually do have a bet on Denny to win this race. I got him at plus 800. I feel like he's probably going to go down to 500, 550, probably tied with Christopher Bell as the favorite for this race. But I like both. I would split my exposure, and if you want to play both of them in the same lineup, I get it. There's a ton of laps in this race, so get all the dominator points you can handle. Kyle Busch, he's starting in 15, $10,500 on DraftKings. Wasn't that impressive in practice, and his teammate Austin Dillon, just trying to see how RCR performed as a whole, was also really slow. So it looks like they're kind of lacking speed. Now, Bristol is a track where, driver has a ton of talent at this kind of track type like Bristol. It tends to show up more often than not. And we know how good Kyle Busch is at Bristol. If we pull up the past 6 races here, he's averaging just under 70 DraftKings points per race, has a win, 4 top 5s, which is the most by 2 of all drivers. So, obviously, I think Kyle Busch knows his way around this track. I think he has like 8 all-time wins here, which is insane. Good chunk of dominator points. So I'm okay with him in tournaments, but it does not look like he has the same kind of speed as these other guys, all in this 10K and above price range. William Byron, $10,200. I thought he was going to get the pole for a little bit after what we saw in practice and whatever we saw in qualifying when he only had to make 1 lap. Ended up not getting that because Christopher Bell is just the qualifying master these days, apparently. But he's got a really fast car. You got to throw him in the same group as Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin. And honestly, if you want to set up a group on your whatever optimizer you're using, whether it's mine or Fantasy Cruncher or whatever it may be, and you want to throw the top 3 in there instead of to at least one driver, I don't think that's a bad choice, because at least one of these guys is going to dominate a ton, and they're more than likely going to be optimal unless they all crash out, which would be horrible. But I don't think we can plan on that. So I would probably say you want at least one of the top 3 drivers there. I don't think McDowell's starting 4th, so I don't really view him as a dominator. So I think the top 3 is certainly fine if you want to set a group for that. Chase Elliott, $10,000. He's starting in 7th. Kind of practice right around where he's starting. We know Elliott's really good here at Bristol. I think he can run top 5, top 8 for the majority of the day. Do I think he's going to get up front and dominate? Probably not, but if he could steal some fast laps and finish in the top 5, he's worthy of a tournament play. But I'm not like super excited about Chase Elliott here, but certainly the player pool. Brett Keselowski starting us off in the 9K range. I guess he just took practice off. We know how good he is here at Bristol. He's starting in 6th, though, so qualifying definitely did not match practice. I don't think he's going to be a borderline top 30 car, so I'm just willing to throw that out the window. I'm going to assume Keselowski is going to be a top 10 runner here. We know how good RFK was in this race last year, and I think they're just going to be awful just because Brad Keselowski practiced poorly. So Keselowski's in that tournament pool. Pretty much a very similar play to Chase Elliott, in my opinion. Not too far off of Kyle Busch, just doesn't start as far back, so projection-wise probably won't look as good, but I think Keselowski should be at least on your tournament radar, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to a ton of him because I just think I'm going to have so much Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell. Obviously, you have to play Kyle Larson in 36. I know I said being underweight in tournaments makes sense, but you still have to play him some. And then there's William Byron, Chase Elliott, so there's just so many good plays up here. It's hard to fit everybody in. Kevin Harvick starting in 21st. Wasn't that impressive in practice. We know he's had good runs at Bristol here in the past, but at $9,500, I'm going to need some dominator points in there. I just don't think we're going to get that here from Kevin Harvick. As far as a median projection starting in 21st, I assume he could be a top 15, top 10 contender. Like, no matter how this team practices or qualifies, it seems like every single week they're going to be in contention for a top 10. They just don't make mistakes, and they're super smart on the track. But again, I don't think the dominator points are going to be there. So it just makes it a tougher overall buy for me. Chris Buescher, very fast in practice, ended up not qualifying that well, which is kind of funny because his teammate Keselowski, they basically flip-flopped. Keselowski practiced poorly, ended up qualifying well. Then we saw Chris Buescher practice exceptionally well, second across the board in the 1, 5, and 10 lap runs in practice. And then we see him qualify P20. So I think Buescher is certainly in play. It looks like his car is going to be fast enough to be able to at least stay in the lead lap for a good chunk of time. Obviously, this track is so small, it only takes about 15 seconds to do a lap. So we're going to see a lot of lap cars in this one, but I do think Buescher, he did win this race last year and obviously RFK overall. So I don't think the speed's going to be completely gone, and we can at least show somewhat similar to what we saw in practice. He should be in play. Joey Logano starting in 28th, he's 9,000 bucks, really cheap over on FanDuel. I imagine he's going to have a lot of ownership over there. Maybe even on DraftKings as well as a cash game play if you're just trying to chase that place differential. But looks like he's got a pretty much top 15 car, 15th in the 1 lap, 13th in the 5, 12th in the 10. So if you're just looking for a PD play, I don't hate Joey just because how good he is here, but I do not expect him to really pick up any dominator points at all for you. Then dropping down to the 8K range, we have Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano's teammate. I imagine these guys probably end up pretty similar at the end of this race. Now, the problem is Ryan Blaney did not practice well whatsoever. Ended up qualifying a little bit better, but barely top 20 speeds across the board in the 1, 5, and 10 lap. Now, this is a skill track, so I do think Blaney, with his past history here, can at least be competent at the price point, so it makes him in play for tournaments. But other than that, I am not too excited about rostering Ryan Blaney here. Obviously, the numbers do look good: 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and a good chunk of dominator points, but has been a little bit snake bitten here as well. Some bad luck mixed in. Martin Truex Jr., $8,700. Weird seeing him at this price point because I feel like for the past few months now, he's been about $10,000, $11,000. He's starting in 5th, and this could be a situation where it's win and get in, or at least advance, I should say, for Truex, which is crazy to think about with how hot the season has been for him and how good he's been overall. But this is not a good track for Martin Truex at all. He does tend to qualify well, but putting down a hot lap's a lot different than actually managing the entire race. And this track has just not been very good for him in practice. Didn't look good at all. 24th in the 1, 22nd in the 5, 18th in the 10. So don't really see myself getting to too much Truex despite how good they've been this year and the price decrease. But this hasn't been a track that really want to roster Truex much here. I don't really see him dominating either. Ross Chastain starting in 23rd. I mean, I like the price point, but we just can't play everybody. I think I'd rather play Joey in a similar price range just because I trust him a little bit more here. Chastain was top 15 across the board in practice, so I think he can move up. But again, the dominator points will more than likely be lacking here. Tyler Reddick, $8,300. We could pretty much put him and Will Wallace in the same category. Both these guys, I wouldn't say have the best history here at Bristol. If you're looking at their overall numbers, the past few seasons now, average finish of right around 20th for both of these guys. Reddick does have a top 5, but kind of about it. Top 10 mixed in, 2 top 15s. Both aren't really that great here, but they were pretty fast in practice, and they have decent track positions, so I think that puts them in the tournament pool, especially Bubba. I mean, $8,000, $7,800, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in practice, and Tyler Reddick, not as fast in the short run, but definitely look good in the long run here. I don't think you can avoid these two. Obviously, both were really fast last week. Not that that means anything, but sucks for Bubba last week. I had a ton of him, locked him in my 3-max, and running really well. He was like the only guy that could hang with Larson. I thought he was going to get up front and dominate. Fortunately, we had a bit of an issue there, and it didn't end up being the case. But I don't think we should cross them off the player pool just based off the practice speeds. Ty Gibbs, $7,100. I think he's actually pretty much in that same category as the two guys above him, all Toyotas here, but super fast in practice. First in the 10, first in the 15, 20, and 25 lap runs in practice. Now, Ty Gibbs always seems like he's one of those guys that ends up qualifying really well, then fades back a little bit. But I can't ignore the speed, especially below $8,000, so he's got to be in that tournament pool as well. Alex Bowman, I think we could pretty much just group all 4 of these guys in similar plays, all showed speed in practice. Then we have Eric Jones, $7,400. He's starting in 31st. I'll never forget that one race he dominated here at Bristol way back in the day when he was in the 77 car. Not sure if you guys remember, but not a bad driver here at Bristol whatsoever. 3 top 10s and 2 top 5s the past 6 races here. Obviously didn't qualify too well, but practiced just inside the top 20. He's definitely a fine place differential play. Daniel Suarez, while it might be tempting at this price point where he's starting, he was honestly pretty much one of the absolute worst cars in the track. We are talking worse than JJ Yeley in the 1 lap, worse than JJ Yeley in the 10 lap. It's not that pretty for Suarez, so I'll be fading him. I just think he's going to be slow and just kind of get stuck in the back all day. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., $7,000. I like him on concrete tracks and I like him on steep tracks, and Bristol does check both of those boxes. He did say he doesn't feel like he's got the short run car, which looks like he's correct looking at practice, but the car got a lot better in the long run. 15 in the 10, 9th in the 15, 7th in the 20, so I don't think Stenhouse is a bad tournament play. Should be lower owned than Jones, so if we're looking for a pivot, I don't mind it. Almirola, just really not too much interest there. You only play him if you're playing 150 or 20 max lineups, but if I'm doing single entry or 3 max, not even thinking about it. Briscoe will probably be a fade for me for where he's starting in 14, just practice much slower. Michael McDowell, I know the playoff dreams are on the line here, pretty much has to win this race, but unfortunately for Michael, I don't think that's going to happen, so I will be fading him here starting in 4th. Just don't see a scenario where he can hold ground like that, or really pick up dominator points. Maybe he steals a fast lap or two at the beginning, but I think he's just one of those guys that's going to keep trickling on back. AJ Allmendinger, I like him for GPPs here, $6,400. If you look at practice, 14th in the 1, 11th in the 5, 6th in the 10, and 13th in the 15. That's not bad speed for a guy that's in the low 6K range. And if you're looking at everybody else in this price range, I mean, it's definitely far and away better than everybody else. So with a little bit of PD in there, I think Dinger is not a bad play. I think he could sneak in the top 20. Ryan Preece, probably passing there, just not a lot of speed in practice. Same with Austin Dillon, just super slow. I do like the price point, and the track position is going to at least be somewhat solid for Austin Dillon, but I just wish we showed a little bit more speed in practice. If we're looking at his Bristol numbers overall, average finish right around 19th. Does have 4 top 15s the past 6 races here. Like, I think he can probably hang around where he starts, so I don't want to call him the worst cheap play just because I'm looking down low here and I'm not really seeing much either, so I probably shouldn't cross Austin Dillon off the list completely. Might actually end up even being my second favorite cheap play behind Allmendinger in the 6K range. Looking at Carson Hocevar here, $6,000. I just think the way that he's been qualifying and showing speed in practice just shows how poorly Noah Gragson was in this car. I realize it's not the best equipment for Legacy, but Eric Jones can put together some pretty decent races. But Noah Gragson was just absolutely awful in that car. Then Hocevar comes in immediately and shows some stride. I mean, maybe they found something. Just it's a coincidence, but I definitely think Hocevar has definitely brought this car up a little bit here. Problem is, I don't like where he's starting, but if he can hang around the top 20-ish, that's not the worst play, but I think I would prefer Dillon just because we have more Cup experience there. Dropping down to the 5K range, we have Justin Haley, 13th, 15th in practice, qualified 19th, obviously 31st in the 10 lap. I'm assuming something happened to fall off that quickly, or unless he really is just that bad in the long run. I have to take a little bit better look, or longer look, I should say, at the lap times, but it's going to be tough to play him with that starting spot. Austin Cindric starting in 29th. He's a fine, cheap place differential play, qualified a little bit worse than where he practiced, so at least we have some room for improvement there. Harrison Burton, pretty much qualified as bad as he practiced, so I'll be passing there. Corey LaJoie was actually fast, 6th in the 1 lap, 9th in the 5, and then 13th in the 10. Now, while it's going to be really ugly to play Corey LaJoie, the track position does help to where he could stay in the lead lap longer, and even if he ends up getting to like 17th at some point, he can just stay in the lead lap by the end of a stage or something. That's just major upside compared to being a couple laps down. Todd Gilliland, he's fine, but these guys are just going to go a lap down in a hurry. Ryan Newman, never. I hate him so much. Done so much bad things to me this season. JJ Yeley, super slow. Ty Dillon, no thank you. And BJ McLeod, never. But with that being said, guys, that's all I got for this week's video. If you did enjoy, even if you didn't, consider the like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'll be more than happy to answer them down below. We wish you all the best of luck. Check out the NFL content if you haven't yet done so. I'll see you all next time.